Welcome back, everyone, to a very exciting episode of the Book Boat. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jocelyn.
Hi, and I'm Alejandra. I was about to say, I feel like we should have had some like drum roll music or something. Yeah, we had a struggle logging in, so it felt very accomplishment moment-y when you said the intro.
I know it's the thing is I may be a millennial, but technology to me just stumps me. I mean, there's still sometimes like where I will say something or I'll want to do something on the laptop or my computer, anything, and I do not know how to work it. And my students are like, Miss Rodriguez, like you do this instead. I'm like, how is it that you guys can navigate all of this and I can't?
Yeah, they're on it. And yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, obviously the podcast world is new to me at being the creator. So you said that, I was like, oh wow, because you're the one who kind of edits our actual podcast. But yeah, there's been many times where I'm with my students and they're like, oh, you just do this, and I'm like, oh, okay, like I had no idea. I don't know how you knew, but
well, editing is a lot easier. I mean, I just go through and like listen to it, like edit where we mess up or where we both are like, no, don't put that in there. So that's pretty easy. I've learned how to like do Anchor, but do not throw in another technology because I will not be able to use it. But I'm very excited for this week's episode because the holiday season is around the corner, and we all love holidays. I'm already trying not to sing Christmas carols, but we got to get through Thanksgiving first. So our topic for this week is holidays in December. Well, it's holidays in December, but I think we decided to just do different holidays.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. It's just because sometimes when you go to school, we center so much around Christmas because that's what a good majority of students are celebrating. But there's also like another group of students who are really like, are not celebrating Christmas, who are celebrating these other beautiful holidays or who don't celebrate something at all. And we need to respect that. And so we wanted to just kind of do a little bit of an episode of what are some holidays students can celebrate or start learning about so that your whole class has a more well-rounded view of like, hey, it's not just Christmas. There's other things going on, or it's not Thanksgiving, or there's other things that are going on throughout the year that they could be unaware of.
Yeah, mine is a little bit cheating in the way because it's kind of about Christmas, but it's kind of like what leads up to Christmas in a way. It's like a weird twist on Christmas. So that's my loophole for this episode because I wanted to do a book about Diwali at first, but then I realized that is in November. So I just featured it on our Instagram because it was a great book and I love it. I think it's called Binny's Diwali and I read it with my class. I just wanted to give a quick shout out in case anybody wants to read it again. I mean, it might be a little bit late. But yeah, so this is an exciting episode. I'm really excited for it because like Jocelyn was saying, there's just so much excitement around this time. When we're recording this, it's about a week before Thanksgiving. But when this episode goes live, it'll be in early December. So it'll be like in the full holiday spirit at that point. And I think especially this year, this obviously has been a really hard year for many of us and many of our students. So I think in a way it's kind of nice to have these holidays to look forward to. I mean, I'm sure they're going to look very, very different compared to how we might have celebrated in the past, you know, being surrounded by large amounts of families. But, you know, it'll be nice to maybe do a little something smaller, learn a little bit about different holidays and things like that.
Yes. Can't wait.
So I guess I'll start with my book. So like I said, it's a little bit of a loophole, I think. It's called Between Us and Abuela. And if you're watching it on our video or you look at our Instagram pictures, I'm kind of holding up the book. I'm really excited. I actually just recently found this book. I believe it came out last year. But it's about a girl named Maria and her little brother Juan, who I believe they live here in the States, and they're going to go to the border between Mexico and the United States to visit their grandma because their grandma lives in Mexico. So I kind of said my loophole was this because even though it is kind of about Christmas, it's more so talking about, I guess, this bigger holiday or something that people do leading up to Christmas, which is called Las Posadas, which is a 9-day festival that is celebrated throughout Mexico and other countries. And it begins December 16th and it goes until December 24th. And And here's where I was a little hesitant because it's kind of more on the like religious side. Um, but I hope that, people are willing and open to learn about other religions. I definitely love learning about other religions. So I'm kind of surprised about myself for picking this book. But anyways, it's talking about, it's kind of more so to remember the birth of Jesus and his parents. And the idea of it is obviously Jesus' parents, Maria and Jose, are searching for shelter on the night he was born. So the idea is that they're going in Bethlehem and Maria is ready to give birth to her baby, but they need to find shelter. So the idea of the Las Posadas is people will have like two people dress up as Maria and Jose, and they walk around through the neighborhood knocking at houses looking for like an inn or shelter. And then I think the story is like they were turned away, so then they kind of had to find shelter elsewhere. But it's celebrated, especially in Mexico. But the kind of part that focuses on the book is called La Posada Sin Fronteras, which means the inn without borders, which is celebrated one day during those like 9 days, where it's on the border of Mexico and the United States. People come from both sides, and they kind of, it's like the one time where they can kind of meet and talk with one another without having that border there, which is a big deal because especially I think right now with like immigration and all the things going on, where they kind of get together and they sing these traditional carols and they hear the stories of like the immigrants who are now living in the United States or vice versa, family members that are living in Mexico. They also will like say the names of the people who died trying to cross the border. So it's just like this big tradition that's celebrated, which I didn't know about until I started to read the book. And I'm like, wow, like I didn't know that this was there. But yes, so on the US side, so they'll stand in an area that's like an enforcement zone, and it's kind of, it seems like it's pretty protected by Border Patrol. So I don't really know like what, like how safe it is or like things like that. But I think the idea of it is so beautiful where family who might have not been able to see each other, they kind of have this opportunity to be with each other. So anyways, the book is called Between Us and Abuela. So like I said, it was about a little girl whose name is Maria, and she has a little brother, Juan. And the story starts off with kind of like the mom talking about her mom, their grandma. And obviously the little kids don't have many memories of her because grandma lives in Mexico. So the two kids are super excited to go see their grandma, and they each have made presents to bring her. And the illustrations are just beautiful. They show the family getting on a bus, and then like all of the family gathering there. So kind of holding up a picture where you can kind of see them dropping them off here on the border. And it's a really cute story. Like they get to see grandma, and they all look very happy. And anyways, it kind of just shows them like being able to interact, and then all of a sudden, it's time to close, and the kids realize they didn't get the chance to give grandma her gifts. So they're obviously crushed and heartbroken because this is like a once in a year thing. So they're really scared that now grandma isn't going to get their gifts, and Maria comes up with this idea. I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to spoil it, but she gets this idea to get her gift to grandma, and it ends up being like super cute and a very cute ending. And the thing that I really liked about the book too is that at the end it kind of explained what the two celebrations are, because like I mentioned, I didn't really know that they did this on the border, and I think that was really cool. And then I started to like look it up and find more information. So I think that would be, if you have like the upper grades, that might be like a fun activity for them to research and kind of like, I don't know, maybe even look up videos or news articles and things like that. But I loved it. I thought it was a super cute book. The illustrations are beautiful. The author, so who writes the story? The author is named Matilda Perkins. And she was born in India, and she lived in, I'm kind of laughing because she's lived kind of all over. She's lived in Bangladesh, India, England, Thailand, Mexico, Cameroon, and Ghana. So at first when I read it and said that she was born in India, I was kind of hesitant. I was like, it kind of brought me back to last week's episode, I think it was last week, where we were kind of talking about how they're somebody who we didn't think was part of the culture group, and they're kind of writing about it. But it did say that
Yeah.
she lived in Mexico. So now I'm kind of curious if maybe she got to experience this firsthand, or if but at the same time, like the whole immigrant experience is so valid for so many people. Like obviously it's not just Mexico and the US, like there's people who immigrate from all over. So it could be kind of a shared experience. But I was also really excited because it says that she resides here in the Bay Area, which is really exciting because that's where we're located. So it's kind of nice to feature somebody who is from our hometown-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And the illustrator is Sarah Palacios, and she has actually won the Pura Belpre Illustrator Award, which is another book that we had featured. So it's kind of nice to see how things get connected. But yeah, I loved the book. It was a really cute story. I think it was nice to learn about this since I didn't know. And like I said, the illustrations are beautiful. So if you're listening to this, I hope you'll either look at the video or look at the Instagram post where the book is featured. I know I'm not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but the illustrations just always like, I don't know, they're so eye-catching. So it's something that I definitely notice.
Yeah.
But yes, my little spiel is over.
No, I mean it sounds like a great book. I've known about the Posadas, um, but I've never known about the one at the borders. And I think
Yeah.
that's a very interesting thing because it's like with immigration laws, like I think it allows families to be somewhat closer to each other
Mm-hmm.
than they normally would. So I think that's a very sweet thing. And the illustrations are cute. So I definitely
Yeah.
am gonna have to add that book.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't know about it. And I think right now, because immigration is such like a hot topic, I think
Mhm.
it's kind of nice to have like a feel good story during the holidays where like for one day maybe things feel slightly normal. You're able to see family you might have not seen in years.
Yes. Yes, no, that's awesome. Well, you're forgetting your 3 questions.
Oh, yes. Whoops. So who benefits from, which is funny because right before this I was thinking about it. Yes, so who benefits from the stories? When I was reading this, I remember thinking of my students and kind of them saying like, oh, like my grandma's in so and so, or my grandma's not here, you know.
Mhm.
So I feel like that would be a really cute story for them to kind of be able to, I don't know, kind of feel hope that maybe one day, you know, it might not be like on the border, but at least now with technology, you know, maybe you could do like something virtual or just even a phone call where they can talk to them. So I think like I was mentioning, immigration is such a big thing. Like it's not always just Mexico and the United States, but people have family all over the states or all over in a different country. So I think that's something that they can definitely relate to. So the who's missing from this story, I don't know. This is the one that I feel like I always struggle with because um, I don't know. I think it would have been I don't even know how to say it, but like I think my big issue is I know sometimes it could be hard to bring religion into the classroom, and I
Mhm.
know it's kind of religion-y based, but again, it's for learning about these new things. I don't feel like it's something awful. I think it's something good, and it seems like it
Yeah.
was that way. So I think maybe when you're reading this, maybe bringing in books that are other religions as well, just so they aren't missing. Because I know we can't fit everything into one book. So maybe like I don't know, featuring books of different religions would be kind of nice.
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounds like a great book.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
loved it.
I have to kind of admit, when I'm bringing the book I'm about to discuss, I am cheating just a little bit as well. And you will see. So the book I'm picking is called Let's Celebrate by Kate DePalma. And I'm cheating because not all of the holidays that are featured in this book are in December.
Ah,
But
okay.
it's they do have books or they do have holidays that are celebrated in December,
Mhm.
but it was just like this whole year round kind of situation, which which I think is awesome because if you did read this at the beginning of December, it could then get students thinking like, okay, what's celebrated in January? Like, what's this? What's
Yeah.
that? And one, I love this book because she gives like each 2 pages is dedicated to the holiday, and the illustrations are just so beautiful. One, Kate DePalma does a read aloud through YouTube.
Mhm.
So if you want to like don't want to buy the book, but you want to see the read aloud, you definitely should. But she just does a really good job. And what I really loved about this is that she starts it by saying, "I did a lot of research to be able to write about these holidays so that they were as accurate as possible when I was writing about them. So she talks about like, um, I want to say it, but I'm really, really scared that I'm gonna say it really bad. But there was a holiday.
So don't judge us, listeners.
No. Well, I'm not gonna say it because I
Okay.
don't want to say it really, really bad.
Yeah.
And I was like trying to practice it, and I was like, nope. If I say it, I'm not doing it justice, and it's just not gonna be okay. But there was like different holidays where like, there's like fish flags that families hang up, or they're doing like indigenous holidays, or there was one where it was like African holidays, like all across the year. And like what I love about it is like the you see like the clothing that they're wearing, like how they're celebrating it, and how some holidays are based on like if there's 9 stars in the sky, then that's how they're like basing their holidays, because it's not always like Christmas where it's like December 25th. Yeah. We're going to celebrate that every year. So it was just like this awesome book, and I love it. And it's in my head. I'm always like thinking like, if I bring this in my classroom, like how am I going to teach it? How am I going to incorporate it? And I think this would be a really fun way to like read it to students and be like, I know you may be excited for Christmas, or you don't celebrate Christmas, or you don't celebrate a holiday, but maybe you can research these other holidays, which I think is very important for students to kind of get like that more well-rounded experience and be like, hey, we may celebrate Christmas, but they don't. Or they celebrate like a different version of Christmas, because they had where like it's winter and you're doing other things, but it's not very like Christmas Santa Claus related. And so I think that's very interesting too, is to see the different variations of a holiday and how they vary across the world. So I love the book, and I think that this is a good book to kind of introduce students to that. So who writes the story? Kate de Palma. She is a teacher. So I feel like she kind of has a little bit of the knowledge, or she was a teacher. She has a little bit of the knowledge of what it takes to teach things and what's really going to interest students. So she really hits on like the main points of the holiday. Who benefits from the story? I think everyone does, especially like students. I honestly think this book could really reach students who don't celebrate something, because it allows them to see like, maybe they want to do research and find out. Like, I think if I was a child who didn't celebrate anything, I think I would research, like, what do other people celebrate? Am I the only one that doesn't celebrate something? Like, it'd be very interesting. So I really think that this benefits all the students. And who's missing from the stories? I don't think anybody. Like I said, Kate de Palma did a really, really good job. And she said that she researched everything so that everything that she was portraying was as accurate as possible. So I think that with that in mind, although she's not from the culture that's being represented, she is doing the culture justice by making sure that she researched what to include, how, like, what the pictures should look like, and all of that. So I think it's no one's missing from this story.
Yeah, no, I loved when you said like one of the first things from it was that the author like took the time to research and really learn about all these different holidays. And I think it's super important that they acknowledge that, because I think that's something that you and I, when we're kind of looking at the books, we're always like a little hesitant. For example, like with mine, my author was born in India, but she's lived like all over. And one of the places was Mexico. So it made me assume that like because of that, she's kind of learned about this.
Yes.
But I love that your book kind of straight out said it, and I didn't have to assume, and I think it kind of just shows the importance of people learning about it, and not just like kind of, I don't know, like saying, but I think like taking the time to actually learn about it to the point where like they figured out like the clothing that's traditionally worn, I'm assuming like food or ways to celebrate. So I think that's super huge and super important. And I love the fact that it's like you were mentioning that it has holidays maybe throughout the year. It'd be something nice to read even at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
Or like you were saying, maybe like taking the time to look at it and then like picking out the holidays that are celebrated like in January, reading those at the beginning, and the ones in February, reading those at the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
And just kind of maybe taking the time to learn about each one. Now I'm like, I definitely want that book. It sounds so good.
And you know what's even great about it is that at the end of the book, and you know how much we love like when the end of the book has like a little bit of information, that's exactly what she has. She has like a little synopsis kind of about what each holiday is about. So it's like you can even take it a step further and have the students
Mm-hmm.
you copy those pages and give them to students if they want, like, and be like, hey,
Yeah,
like go through them and like read about these holidays and all that stuff. So if I love books with information at the end.
I do
So
too.
I think it was like a well-rounded book for holidays.
Yeah, and it's something that so authors, if you're listening, I don't know how many authors are listening to us, but yeah, no, it's super helpful having that information in the back. And I could just imagine being a parent, like if you're reading this book with them, it's nice to like have that information kind of ready to go.
Absolutely.
Which is kind of how I feel as a teacher. Like I was mentioning, like I didn't know that they did this at the border, but now that I learned about it, so then I went and like looked at the news and like things like that. So it's super helpful, and I don't know how time consuming it is, but authors who do it, like it, I definitely really appreciate it. But it also made me think of how you were saying, like I remember growing up
Mhm.
and we do like arts and crafts for different holidays. Like obviously
Mhm.
Kwanzaa, I think is kind of a big one. Like I remember like looking at the traditional colors that were done, and it's like something that I still remember to this day. Like it's not a holiday I might celebrate, but like I learned a little bit about it. And I think um something that you're mentioning where maybe like kids are going to want to celebrate now, it made me think of when I read that book to them about Diwali. It was kind
Mhm.
of last minute because I got the book kind of late, but I read it to my students and they loved it because it talks a lot about how it's like celebrating like I don't want to butcher it, but I think it's something about with like lights and things like this.
Yeah.
And they pictured they do these like beautiful artworks on the ground with like chalk, and they have like fireworks, and my students like thought it was so beautiful that they then wanted to like look it up and be like, oh, like I want to celebrate, like why isn't this a bigger deal, you know?
Mhm.
So I think having a book where it features so many holidays throughout the year is super important. So I don't know, these are must have books in my opinion
Yes.
now.
Oh, absolutely. And especially it's like wanting to do other cultures justice and bringing other
Hmm.
cultures into the light. I think that this is these going just the fact that we even came up with this topic makes me just really happy because I know that there's other educators in the world being like, okay, I know I celebrate Christmas, but
Yeah.
what if my student doesn't? Like, what can I do? And I know everybody does like, oh, we'll do winter themed holidays. Well, not everybody has seen snow. Not everybody knows like, but it's like it's
Yeah.
very good to do like well, this is what other people like. Maybe
Hmm.
someone's not when we celebrate Christmas. Maybe someone's not. Maybe they're at home
Hmm.
because they're like their family doesn't celebrate Christmas, but they celebrate this or they. So it's these are like you said, these are must have books.
Yeah, and I think I'm excited. I'm hoping that people will kind of recommend other books about this
Yes.
too. And I hope people create books that highlight these different holidays and um, kind of make it normal. But we're getting close to the end of our episode. But I told Jocelyn, I was like, I really want to highlight some of the stuff. So I'm like very big on statistics and things like that. So I've been looking at our so we record through the app called Anchor, which you probably all hear my little blurb about it at the beginning. And I love
Mhm.
Anchor, and I love the fact that it'll show us like how many views or listens we have per episode and like just things like that. But it also tells us the geographic location of our listeners, and I think that is so exciting, and I'm like I geek out on looking at it. Obviously most of our listeners are in the United States, so thank you everybody who's listening to us in the States, but we've accumulated quite the bit of listeners throughout the world.
Mhm.
So the locations we have are Mexico, Ireland, France, Singapore, Portugal, and Canada. So I was like, it's I don't know who's listening to us there, but if you're listening to us in one of these countries, like this isn't the challenge or anything, but I think you should like leave a comment, leave a review or something, and tell us where you're listening from because it's super exciting. I am all about traveling. I love
Mhm.
traveling, so to have people listening to us in these different countries is amazing. It also like tells us different platforms. So most of our listeners is from Apple Podcasts. So thank you to all my Apple listeners. The next one is Spotify, and then Anchor, Overcast. Um, Most of our listeners are female, 85%. We have 15% male. And our age group with the highest percentage of listeners is 23 to 27. So I
That
thought,
seems about right. I mean, that's
yeah,
around the, like our ages.
yeah.
So yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. And our next one after that was 28 to 34. and then 18 to 22, and then 45 to 59, and our lowest was 35 to 44. So I don't know, like, I don't know if anybody else cares about, like, I'm always curious about other shows, but I don't know. This is our 10th episode, I believe. So it's just kind of nice to see what we've kind of accomplished in these 10 episodes. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of nice to see this like project that we had kind of, I don't know, becoming something, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. And to those that are listening from all over the world, we just want to say thank you. That's
Yes.
awesome. It's good to
Yeah.
hear all of this. I always let you run all like the technology because, like I said, I'm not very tech savvy, and to even just update my social media is a process. But just like the fact that you just told me those statistics, like that's new to me, and I'm just like, oh wow, look at us,
Yeah.
look at us go.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. And like, I'll look at it after, I mean, I check it quite a bit, probably more than I should, but I don't know. It's just so exciting to like see all the countries kind of pop up. And I don't know, hopefully one day we'll have like a huge list, and we can feature books that maybe are popular in these countries. But yes, so we are coming to a close on our 10th episode. Oh man, it's like the big 10.
I know it doesn't feel like it's been that long.
No, it doesn't. And it's crazy because I was kind of looking back at some of our old videos. And it's just funny because like we started off wearing t-shirts and now I'm like in a sweater, and it's like I'm getting all the cozy feels again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's really exciting. I don't know. I just feel all nostalgic looking at all this stuff. But yes,
Yes, absolutely.
we are coming to a wrap on our episode. But before we do that, we are going to do our challenge question and challenge. Ending challenge, ending question.
Yes.
Yes, there you go. I'll do the ending challenge first. So we've been talking about holidays in December. So I want to challenge all of our listeners and maybe look up a holiday you might not celebrate and maybe learn a little bit about it. If you're a teacher, maybe kind of bringing it into your classroom and teaching it to your students. They're gonna love. I think they're gonna love it. Like I don't celebrate Diwali, but I taught my students a little bit about it. And they loved it. So I'm sure whatever holiday you decide to kind of research and introduce to your students, it'll be exciting. So that is my challenge. And maybe leave in the comment or comment on a story that we post, telling us what holiday you kind of looked up, and if you found maybe a book, and then we can feature it later on. But yeah, so challenge yourself with learning something about a new holiday.
Yeah. And definitely go out there and learn, because I think it not only benefits you, but if you're a teacher, it benefits your students. If you're a parent, it benefits your child knowing about these holidays. So definitely go out there and learn. I know that I'm going to. So excited about that. But our ending question is, what do you celebrate? So I feel like we should add to this, because I'm going to guess most people are going to be like, oh, I celebrate Christmas. But it's like, what is it? Tradition that's maybe you like, take it a step further. What is a tradition that's unique to your family?
Ooh, I like
that way that if you do celebrate Christmas, we are getting like, oh, if you do cookies, like you do a cookie bake off, or if you do where you try to make something else, like, or gingerbread house, like something like, we want to know that. I mean, I love traditions. I love traditions. I love holidays. You'll see me get like chipper as the year goes on, because I know that Christmas is around the corner. And so we want to know what you celebrate or what your traditions may be.
Yeah, so either write us or send us a picture of maybe those cookies. Now I'm kind of want to see all the cookies you guys make. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast so we can see more countries. Maybe let's bring up some more countries that you guys are from. That'll be so exciting. We are on all major podcast platforms, Google, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Leave us a rating, please. Obviously 5 stars would be amazing. I think it's 5 stars. Yes. Leave us a rating. Leave a review as well, either on whatever platform you're listening to. I know Apple lets you leave a review, or leave us a review on our Instagram. Somebody recently left a review, or kind of left a comment on one of our pictures, and just I don't know, said they like stumbled upon our podcast and they really liked it. And it totally made my day. So if you're listening to this, I really appreciate you for leaving that comment, and hopefully you'll inspire other people to leave us a review. Follow our YouTube. Our videos aren't the best quality production, but we're trying out here in this digital world of Zoom.
And COVID, because we can't really meet up in person.
Yeah. Follow our Instagram at _bookboat. We're pretty active on there. We also post pictures of books that we might have not featured. I like to put books that I bought recently because I'm a book hoarder. So maybe you guys can tell me if you want us to review those. But yeah, follow our Instagram and like us on Facebook at The Book Boat. If you just search it up, it'll hopefully pop up. But all right, this is a wrap on episode 10. Thank you, everybody. Please have a wonderful and safe December holiday season. And, you know, I kind of want to like push a little bit of the whole, you know, it might not be the same as in years past, but let's all try to stay safe so we can go back to celebrating all together once it obviously is safe. So please, everybody, even if it's not the easy choice, let's make the choice to stay safe this holiday season.
Absolutely. Enjoy the holidays. And even though we may not be able to see all of our family, I think that as I said it earlier in the episode that I don't do well with technology, but one of the beauties of it is that it does allow us to be on Zoom, and you can still decorate the Christmas tree and have Christmas carols while maybe your other family member is doing the same thing to their tree over Zoom. So it's like you can get super creative. And
it just gave me the goosebumps.
Yeah, it may suck, and you may just want to be close to your family. But like we said, be safe, be careful. We want to get this all done over with so we can all go back to celebrating as normal as possible next year. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Bye.